Hi there, and welcome to A Song of Ice and Fire Explained. This is a video series where we explain the massive conspiracies going on in A Song of Ice and Fire. If you haven't seen our previous videos, we suggest watching those first. So let's continue on with Catelyn 3, A Game of Thrones. This chapter is 3,863 words long and is told from the perspective of Catelyn Stark, the older sister of Edmure and Lysa Tully. In this chapter, Catelyn's breakdown over Bran's fall ends when an attempt is made on Bran's life. Catelyn delays the assassin long enough for Bran's direwolf to arrive and kill the assassin. Catelyn is now convinced Bran did not fall, but was pushed. This chapter sets in motion the events that would lead to Catelyn's journey south that ends with her apprehending Tyrion and triggering the War of the Five Kings. However, the mystery of who sent the cat's paw still remains not definitely answered. 8 days after Eddard and the others have left Winterfell, Catelyn is still sitting at Bran's bedside in her fragile mental state. Maester Luwin comes to tell her how much the royal visit has cost, but Catelyn is not interested in looking at figures. Regardless, the Maester continues to speak of replacing provisions. Catelyn insists that the steward can worry about such matters. Luwin reminds her that Vayon Pool went south with Lord Eddard and needs to be replaced, along with a number of other positions. Catelyn is outraged that he can think of such trivial things when Bran is dying, until Robb arrives to take charge of the appointments. After the Maester leaves, Robb asks Catelyn what she thinks she's doing spending all her time with Bran, and not even saying farewell to her own family. Catelyn insists she can't bear to be away from Bran, in case he should die. Robb assures her that Bran is not going to die and reminds her that her other children need her too. He goes on to explain that Rickon just follows him around all day, crying, thinking everyone has abandoned him. Robb hears a direwolf howling outside and opens the window, explaining that the sound seems to be good for Bran. When the other direwolves join in, Catelyn screams for Robb to make the noise stop, and then collapses to the floor. Robb helps her up, and she only begins screaming again. Then Robb notices the dogs barking as well, and sees the library tower afire. When Robb rushes off to fight the fire, Catelyn remains behind with Bran. When she turns away from the window, however, she is face to face with a filthy man brandishing a knife. The man claims that Catelyn was not supposed to be there, and moves towards Bran, claiming that killing him would be a mercy. Catelyn attempts to scream for help, but the man is too quick as he moves to slit her throat. Catelyn manages to grab the blade with her hands and push it away, slicing her fingers badly. She bites the man's hand and fights her way free. The man is about to attack her again when Bran's direwolf leaps onto him and rips out his throat. Once the man is dead, the direwolf settles down on Bran's bed. Catelyn is taken back to her chambers. Old Nan undresses her and helps her into a bath. After the bath, Maester Luwin dresses Catelyn's wounds. Her fingers are cut almost to the bone, and the man had pulled out a handful of hair. The Maester gives her milk of the poppy, which puts her to sleep. She wakes up 4 days later. It seems like a nightmare, but the pain in her hands reminds her that it was real. When Catelyn remembers her behaviors since Bran's fall, she is ashamed, promising herself that it will not happen again. Robb, now wearing armor and a sword, comes to see her with Theon Greyjoy, Sir Roderick Castle, and Hallis Mullen, the new captain of the guard. Hal tells her that nobody knows who the man was, but he'd likely been lurking in the stables since the king's visit. Where the man had been hiding, they found 90 silver stags hidden under straw. When Robb asks why anybody would want to kill Bran, Catelyn insists that as a lord, he must learn to answer his own question. Robb guesses that somebody is afraid of what Bran might do or say if he wakes up, and so posts a heavy guard on Bran. Roderick points out that the dagger used by the assassin, a Valyrian steel blade with a dragon bone handle, is much finer weapon than anything the low-born footpad should have possessed. Someone must have given it to him. Catelyn then tells Roderick, Theon, and Robb in strict confidence of her sister Lysa's suspicions about the death of Jon Arryn. She reminds them that Jaime Lannister did not go hunting with the others the day Bran fell, and that she does not believe that Bran fell, but that he was pushed. The group admits that this is a reasonable conclusion. However, Maester Luwin points out that all they have is conjecture, and that they must have proof or else keep silent. After some deliberation, Catelyn decides that she and Roderick will go to King's Landing by ship to inform Eddard, hopefully arriving ahead of the King's party. And this is where Catelyn 3, A Game of Thrones ends. Now, here is further evidence for why Mance Rayder might have been the one who sent the Cat's Paw. Firstly, the Cat's Paw tells Catelyn that killing Bran, it's a mercy, and the only other place in Westeros that openly talks about murdering defective children as a mercy is north of the Wall. Val tells Jon, north of the Wall it is. Hemlock is a sure cure, but a pillow or a blade will work as well. If I had given birth to that poor child, I should have given her the gift of mercy long ago. So, if Mance hired the Cat's Paw, he might have used the wording, it's a mercy, and the Cat's Paw recycled this when justifying his attack to Catelyn. The final piece of evidence comes from A Clash of Kings, when Jorah Mormont tells Jon each king north of the Wall have always failed because of one fundamental problem. Each man of them broke his strength on the Wall, or was broken by the power of Winterfell on the far side. But the Night's Watch is only a shadow of what we were. And who remains to oppose the wildlings beside us? The Lord of Winterfell is dead, and his heir has marched his strength south to fight the Lannisters. The wildlings may never again have such a chance at this. And Mance knows this, so it would be pretty impressive if this was all instigated by Mance himself, since he recognized the past mistakes of all the wildling kings before him. What to do about the Starks of Winterfell? Well, the answer is simple. Force them to play the Game of Thrones, and if Mance is Sir Arthur Dayne, he'd know exactly how to do this. Despite living north of the Wall since Robert's Rebellion. And that's about it for Catelyn 3, A Game of Thrones. In the next video, we'll cover Sansa 1 and continue from there. In the meantime, here are some of the other differences between the HBO TV show and book. An additional scene in the TV series where Catelyn searches the old tower and finds a golden hair. She suspects that the Lannisters are involved in Bran's accident even before finding out that the dagger is Valyrian steel. In the TV series, the Winterfell meeting between Catelyn, Robb, Theon, Sir Roderick and Maester Luwin takes place in the Godswood instead of in the castle. In the book, Catelyn does not generally suspect the Lannisters of Bran's fall, nor does she doubt their loyalty to the crown. Instead, she suspects Jaime, mentioning how he did not join the hunt the day Bran fell, but remained inside Winterfell. Anyway, that's it for today's episode. If you want to see more of A Song of Ice and Fire Explained, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, when you get the chance, try out Fantasy Flight's A Game of Thrones board game, digital edition.